Today, I'd like to talk about 5 steps of conflict resolution. In other words, what do we do when conflict occurs or with others? How do we help ourselves or others work through it so in the end, we have a productive outcome, a positive outcome that helps it to be an opportunity for growth, an opportunity for development and more positive relationships, and build something for us to make conflict better in the future. Again, the goal is continue to be, let's minimize the frequency of conflict, let's minimize the intensity or severity of conflict, and let's minimize the longevity. So here are the 5 steps. I'm going to share all 5 of them, and I'm going to focus on step number 2 particularly in today's video. Number 1 is, let's define the conflict. Simply put, when we're struggling with someone or we're helping 2 people, let's go one at a time. We set some ground rules of let's not yell, let's not interrupt, let's, those types of things. But let's share what is it that's bothering you and then what is it that's bothering me. I'm going to suggest for you to do that in a little bit of a unique way though. And this is going to apply to both steps 1 and 2. When we do this, typically what we do is we say, okay, you go ahead, you share what your concern is, and then when you're done, I'll share mine. And usually that takes several minutes. They kind of, because they're upset, they're frustrated, they're angry, they kind of go off. The whole time, what am I doing? Not listening, right? Because all I'm thinking about is everything they're saying is wrong, and I'm generating all these ideas in my head of what I'm going to say to rebut what they've said, to argue what they've said. Here's what I'm going to ask us to do, something very unique. And that is, we're going to try within a minute to a minute and a half, we're going to give a person a minute to a minute and a half, literally 60 to 90 seconds to share what is it that's bothering you from your perspective. The other person is simply going to listen. When we're done, instead of the other person going next, what we're going to ask them to do is share back what they heard the person say. So the first minute, minute and a half, I share what's bothering me. The other person then shares back to make sure that they heard what I said. Then we're going to switch. They're going to speak for a minute, minute and a half, and that'll help us kind of keep things slower, a little calmer, a little bit more controlled in the sense that we're trying to pay attention and listen to each other. Step number 2, deal with the feelings. I'm going to come back to that one in a second because that's one of the steps that I think we oftentimes miss or skip. Step number 3 is we're going to brainstorm then, how are we going to work on this? How are we going to improve? How are we going to deal with whatever the issues are, all right? And then 4 is we're going to reach agreement on 1 or 2 or 3, whatever steps, strategies, things we're going to do to hopefully resolve and make the conflict better going forward. And then the last step is we're simply going to evaluate. We're going to come back together and say, how did it work? Did it do what we hoped it would do? Did it not do what we hoped it to do? But also, we want to make sure we have a plan in step number 4, going to 5, that what happens if we don't do the things we agreed to or they don't work, so we don't end up back in a cycle again. So real quickly, I'm going to go back to step number 2, define the feelings or deal with the feelings. Here's where we oftentimes fall short. We get so caught up in what's bothering us, which really, I'm going to suggest to you, is more of an emotional issue. In another video, we'll talk more in detail about that. But here's what happens. I share what bothers me. You'll say what we heard. You'll share it. And then we'll get in. I'll say, well, here's an idea. We could do this. And then, oh, that's not going to work. I've done that. That never works. You won't do this. And let me give you 7 more examples why. And we go around and around and around. It's generally because we've not felt like our feelings have been validated or understood. That's step number 2. Let's slow down to say, it sounds like it makes you angry when. It sounds like it's very frustrating to you when. It sounds like it upsets you or makes you sad when. And help the other person to realize, I understand how you're feeling. I validate and value what you're feeling. Doesn't mean I have to feel the same way or even agree with it. But can I understand it? So going forward to deal with conflict, we define the issue, the problem. We define and deal with the feelings. We brainstorm solutions, we agree upon the solutions and what happens if it doesn't work, and then we come back and evaluate and go through feedback. Thank you.